My name's John Garbarino from South Philadelphia. Everyone calls me Johnny Cannoli now after the stunt we had last year. And it's just been going great. Everything's been going good with the new name. So I got into boxing. I've been coming up in Mickey Rosati's for quite some time now. But all the fighting started when I was about 3 years old. I got into karate and other martial arts, and I've been sticking with martial arts my whole entire life. I never stopped. And bare knuckle developed with Dave Feldman. Dave Feldman created it about 7 years ago, and it got legalized in America. And until recently, it wasn't legal in Pennsylvania. So last January 25th, they had their debut here when it got legalized at the Wells Fargo, and I was the feature fight on that card. So that was the first encounter I ever had with the bare knuckle, and it's an amazing, amazing platform. You know, it's an amazing organization. Something strange happened the night before the fight. And I remember seeing like a little video on Instagram about astrology, and somehow like every single planet or all the stars and all the planets were going to align perfectly for whatever reason that, you know, that doesn't happen all the time. And it happened on January 25th. And the guy, and I'm not even into this stuff. I'm very religious and Catholic, but I'm not into astrology or anything. But I was listening to his video, and he was the guy was just explaining, he's like, if you want to manifest anything, you could create, you know, your future right now. And you could basically picture and visualize anything, and it'll come true. And I said, you know, to myself, I was visualizing alone after that video, and I just pictured all this stuff. I manifested it, and then everything played out like a storybook, or like you said, as a movie would. You know, it was like literally living through my own movie. It was incredible. So me, Coach Mickey, the owner of this gym, he's been my coach forever. We were actually about to go on stage, and I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do here, but I think I need to wow the crowd. I want to, you know, get a rise out of people. So I called one of my friends up, and I said, yo, go to Termini's real fast and pick up some cannolis. And my only goal here was just to pass them out, you know, feed some people, give them some Italian pastries, and just kind of keep it moving. But I ended up passing a couple out. I gave one to McGregor, gave one to Dave Feldman and my opponent. And then right after I gave it to my opponent, he looked at me very strange and like cocky. You know, I guess he probably was a little hyped up trying to sell the fight or whatever. And I just slapped the shit out of that cannoli, and I slapped it right out of his hand. And then he tried to charge me off the stage. And there was a point, I remember, I was backing up, retreating after I slapped it, you know, because he was charging at me. And then I kind of like glanced back for a second. I sensed that I was going to fall off the stage. So, you know, at this point, I just did what's natural, instinctual. I threw a left hook, and I forgot I had the cannoli in my hand. So I wound up smashing the cannoli in his ear, and then, you know, Johnny Cannoli was born. That was it. So this actually just fell into my lap. A dear friend of mine, Andre Petrosky, he's in the UFC. Me and him trained together for a very long time at Balance Studios. And Riley Armstrong, which is the director of player development for their prospects and for their team, right, for the Flyers, he reached out to Andre, and he asked him, he said, hey, would you be interested in training some of our guys, because, you know, we want to toughen them up and get them a little bit trained and skilled with their hands, just in case if they get into a fight or a brawl this season coming up. And he said, sure, but I don't know how to skate, so I'll gladly teach them, but you know, we have to figure something else out. And he was brainstorming, and he remembered that I played hockey when I was younger, you know, and I actually played at the Flyers skate zone. We played all over. We got state championships when I was a kid, and you know, it was a great opportunity. So he asked me to help him out and assist in the whole thing, and we've actually been doing really good with them. We had our first practice the other day. We had a tour the week before that. We got a lot of good chemistry going, and we're actually invited back tomorrow to get on the ice. I'm pretty interested in seeing how everything translates onto the ice, because I think we have a lot of good ideas connecting the dots between my bare knuckle experience in MMA and Andre's experience as a wrestler and as an MMA fighter. The goal at the end of the day is for these guys to win fights and protect themselves, you know, hurt other people. You know, obviously it's a very aggressive sport when I played hockey, we fought every single game. You know, we were having like very, very aggressive brawls and you know, bench clear sometimes. You know, so you have to always keep your head up. You can't be looking down at the puck. You're going to get smashed. You know what I mean? Hip checked or just laid out in the middle of the ice. But it's bound to happen. They're going to get into fist fights. So my goal here is just to make sure that they hurt other people and they could protect themselves. That's it. That's my job. So when I trained jiu-jitsu, right, we learned to do jiu-jitsu with a gi, okay? The gi is basically like a kimono or some sort of outfit. It kind of resembles a robe. It's a martial arts outfit. And basically, we use this as a weapon and defensive. So there's a lot of different techniques that I'm actually going over with the team. And they're actually picking it up pretty good because it's like grabbing onto a jersey or the shoulder protectors or something like that and learning how to fight when you're wrestling with clothing. It's totally different than having no shirt on, you know? And when you could learn how to do that, you could do anything. And we're also learning I'm teaching them to learn how to extend their punches fully, how to snap them out, how to break away. A lot of these NHL guys, I love the attitude. They love fighting. They have that mentality in them already. So I want to just smarten them up and teach them a little bit about positioning, how to use a jab and not engage so much with wrestling. You know, everybody knows how to wrestle. Not everybody knows how to keep a guy at bay and just keep piecing him out and knock him out from a distance.